Hey guys, it's Assasin here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another comic book review. Today we're looking at a collected edition. We're looking at Lady Killers. This is the library edition from Dark Horse. This collects all of Lady Killer and all of the little extras that might come out since then. I think that this would be the only stuff that's in Lady Killer, but the story did end in a way that maybe there could be more to it. So maybe it could be revisited later in the future, but I don't think so. I think that Joelle Jones is done with the series. And I do want to say that the first half of it is a little bit better than the second half. So let me go through the book facts and then we'll get around to that discussion point later in the video. So Joelle Jones is the author, and Jamie S. Rick is someone that helped her with the writing early on, and then it became Joelle Jones' thing completely. Now we have Laura Allred and Michelle Madsen Crank, who I think are artists that help Joelle Jones, because this is mostly a Joelle Jones exclusive. Like, she did all the writing, she did all the artwork, but I think there was some help with the coloring, with the lettering, and Crank did some work on some of the pinup type stuff that we see at the end there, right? It's published by Dark Horse, like I said. The demographic here is adult. This is for sure for adults. This is kind of like older James Bond movies, you know, that kind of sexy hitman kind of vibe to it. Kind of like 80s, you know, femme fatale type thing, right? So there you go. The genres here are noir, thriller, action, and there's a lot of sexuality kind of sprinkled in throughout the book. In terms of adaptation, it does not have one, but I think this would be a great either single or two-season series or a set of movies. I think it'd be really, really great. I think maybe probably a single movie would be awesome based on the first volume of the story. And then you could develop into a franchise from there. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think that this would be great to see visually, you know, in a movie, but I'm not sure that that's really in the cards for the series. And the rating for this was a 4 out of 5. I think, like I said earlier, the front half of the story was a lot better than the second half. The artwork was phenomenal throughout, but the writing was a bit weaker later on, in my opinion. So yeah, the premise is basically, this is a 1950s style wife set in the 1950s. So she is a proper 1950s style wife, living an idyllic life, but she actually has a secret. She's an assassin, right? And she wants out of that life. But it's not going to be an easy situation. So if you're a fan of manga and anime, and you like Yor from Spy Family, but you wish the Spy Family anime or manga kind of dealt a little bit more with the assassin's, you know, personal life and her feelings, you might like this. This is set after World War II. It's basically not very clear what any of the, you know, assassin guild or whatever you want to call it is doing. She just kind of works for the U.S. government, and she wants out of that life. So very interesting concept. And like I said, it really has a great setup for a movie. So yeah, it opens up with Josie Schuler acting like a makeup seller to get into a home. When she's there, she kills the woman that answered the door, and then later acts like a normal housewife with a shitty mother-in-law at home, right? Her mother-in-law is a German lady, and she has a dark past as well. And she knows that there's something off about Josie, but she doesn't know quite what it is. So she just acts like she doesn't like her, right? Then she gets a call from her handler, who doesn't really respect boundaries. He shows up at her home after she's told him multiple times that he shouldn't do that. And so her mother-in-law sees her leaving with this man late at night, and so she knows that something's up, right? She gets an assignment and she goes and works at a strip club or something like that. She dresses up as a bunny girl and she goes and finds her mark. She kills him and then goes on to her next assignment. But she has to go meet her boss to get it. And so she goes, she has a disagreement with him. And this guy looks kind of like a US president from history. I don't know which one it is, but he does have that kind of vibe. Like, I have the image of the president in my mind. I just can't remember what his name is, right? It also kind of reminds me of the older actor from Men in Black. He kind of looks like that as well. And I can't remember his name either, but it has that kind of vibe, right? And she has a disagreement with him about the fact that she wants out of the business, right? And he's like, you cannot do that. That there is no out. You chose to have a family on top of this, and now you're choosing your family over your duty, and we are not okay with that, right? And so her boss decides that he's going to test her. So she is assigned to kill a child, and her handler has to go and watch her from afar to make sure she did it. The thing is that she won't do it. So later, Josie and her mother-in-law argue, and Josie's boss and handler agree that she needs to be killed because she wasn't doing what she was supposed to, right? So she's at her Mark's house, and when she's facing the child, she decides that she's going to let him live. And so she tries to help him leave, and then her handler catches her in the act of freeing the child, and then they have a standoff, right? They have a car chase. She manages to force him into crashing, and while everyone's disoriented, she manages to escape. She then goes on to get some help. She goes to this Chinese restaurant to talk to a fellow assassin that she knows, who also isn't super happy with her, lot in life. And they have a bit of a fight, but eventually they reach an agreement. And the agreement is that as long as the other assassin gets to kill Deck, who is Josie's handler, she will help her. And so Josie agrees, and they go meet another character, Irving, who's another agent, although he mostly does disposal stuff. And they come up with a plan to try to get rid of the handler and hopefully the boss, so that Josie can go off and live her own life, right? So this is all going to happen at like a fair or like a NASA event or something like that, and everyone is there. And Josie's mother-in-law recognizes Irving as someone that she knew from her days in Germany, because she used to be a Nazi agent. And Josie and Peck have a fight, and some agents show up as well. Peck is left with another girl, with the other assassin, and Josie goes on to confront Stenholm, who is her boss, right? And she starts to kill him, and as she's doing that, Irving arrives, and he says that Ruby, the other agent, the other assassin that Josie, got help from, needs help. And so Stenholm is killed by Irving, and Ruby and Peck are both dead as well. So that's the end of the first story arc. We have a time skip to enter the second story arc. We're in a new city. I think before they were kind of like somewhere in the northern part of the eastern seaboard, and now they're like in Florida or something. And Josie runs a solo operation. She's still good at killing, so she's still doing assassin work because she needs something to do, but she is picking her own marks, and she's doing things her own way. But because she doesn't have any help, it's actually not a great deal for her, right? So she's dealing with the fact that she's bad at cleaning the messes, and that her relationship with her mother-in-law has changed due to her knowing that she's an assassin, right? And they seem to have grown closer to some extent, but they still have a bit of a standoffish relationship. So at this point, as she's working on a new assignment, Irving returns and he offers her a partnership. He says that he'll handle the cleaning as long as she handles the killing, right? But he starts to get a bit too close. He gets like really up in her business and becomes a bit too relevant to her life. And so she's not really happy about that. She gets scouted by a group who's also trying to, bring her in to their operation. But when they learn that she works with Irving, they resign that offer. And this makes her question what's going on. And later, Irving shows up at her home. And apparently, he was Mrs. Schuler's target when she was a German intel agent, right? So he was like a crazy German assassin and a monster. And Mrs. Schuler, Josie's mother-in-law, used to work for the German intel service, and she was trying to kill him. And it didn't really work out. And so now when the truth is coming out, Irving shows up to try to kill Josie and her family, right? And what happens is that they start trying to kill Josie's husband, basically for no reason. And so Josie and Irving have a fight about it. And so as this is happening, another thing is happening or developing, which is that Josie's husband's boss is killed, and basically for no reason. And I think it was Irving that did it. And so Josie and Irving have a fight about this because Irving was doing it kind of like to protect Josie to an extent. He has this weird like code or something, and he thought that killing her husband's boss would be the answer, right? But this is problematic because it brings attention on her husband, Eugene, who gets implicated in his boss's murder, right? And after Josie's latest mark, her house gets attacked. Their dog is hurt, and Eugene and his girls, their daughters, decide to leave. And basically, he finds out that Josie was an assassin, and that's why they're being attacked. And he's like done with her, right? So he leaves, and he takes his daughters and their dog with him. And then the house gets attacked more, and Josie and her mother-in-law must fight Irving off. And he stabs Mrs. Schuler, and Josie manages to burn him as this is happening. She hides Mrs. Schuler to try to keep her alive, and Irving beats up Josie. He shoots off one of her fingers, actually, and then Eugene shows back up because he kind of regrets leaving, I guess, and he kills Irving, right? But he knows that their family relationship is broken now. He cannot stay with Josie anymore. So he ends up leaving, and at the end, we see that Peck has returned. And this is where the story ends. So like I said, there is more to the story that could be developed later, but for whatever reason, this library edition only contains this story. And I think that's just the only volumes that were published, just 1 and 2. But I'm curious to see if we're going to see more story come out of this. I think Joel Campbell is basically done with it. Like she's not coming back to it, but there is a possibility for more later on down the road, right? So overall, this is a good story. I really enjoyed it, but the second half of it gets a bit too convoluted for my taste. I think the earlier stuff makes more sense, and it's kind of unclear why the second part of the story focuses on her running her own operation when in the first half of the story, she clearly wanted out. She wanted to be done with killing, right? So I think that the second part of the story should have really been about the government chasing her down and her trying to find ways to avoid her family dealing with it as she finds a way to stop the government from trying to kill her, right? So I don't know. I think that it's not necessarily weak writing. I think it was still enjoyable, but it just didn't work as well as the first half. And maybe that's due to the fact that Joelle Jones was writing this completely by herself at this point. I'm not really sure. But, you know, overall, it was still pretty good. So those are my thoughts on that. In terms of characters, we have Josie, Peck, Ruby, Mr. Stenholm, Irving / Reinhardt, that's his name from when he was in Germany, Eugene, and of course, Mrs. Schuler, who is Eugene's mother. In terms of world building, we have 1950s, post-World War II setting, kind of like the classical American kind of like dreams aesthetic, right? We have assassination agencies that we don't really know too much about, and basically that's all there is to it. In terms of artwork and fan service, it's really amazing in terms of artwork. The style is really great. It has a very old school kind of aesthetic to it. It has really beautiful coloring that's very like simple. It has like very kind of like minimal like blending techniques. All of it seems to be very specifically like block coloring or whatever it's called. Let me see if I can show you a scene or two to demonstrate. Like it's single tones for all the colors. There's no crazy, shading or anything like that. And it gives this book a really beautiful feel, right? And of course, because it's a femme fatale type story, there's a lot of TNA. So there's a lot of fan service in that sense as well. And I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It looks really beautiful. Josie is a really, attractive character, and they managed to work that into her development as an assassin throughout the story. And this is kind of like something akin to kind of like a Black Widow story, or like a old school like noir, femme fatale type thing. And it works really, really nicely. In terms of rating, it's a 4 out of 5 for me. I think the art really carries the story throughout the end because even though it's good, the writing is solid. It's not as good as I thought it would be based on what I'd heard about this book, right? And so I think the art really carries the story through. If the art wasn't as good, I don't think I would have finished reading it. And I feel like there's more to be told in this universe. So I hope that eventually it does come back, right? But I hope that Joelle Jones finds someone to help her kind of work that out. Maybe Ed Brubaker or someone like that, someone that's good at that sort of noir type storytelling, can help her kind of really work through the kinks in her writing to make it really, really good, right? Because I feel like if the artwork is so phenomenal, the storytelling should be as good. And I don't think that it quite works out that way in this, right? So, those are my thoughts on Lady Killers. Lady Killer. And let me know what you thought. Let me know if you've read this. I think it's a worth, it's a book worth getting. I don't know how easy it is to get anymore, but when I got it through Walmart.com, and I actually ended up getting it for free because I complained about the way that they packed it, and instead of kind of making me return it and send me another one because of some damage it had to some of the corners, they just decided to refund me and let me keep the book, and so I ended up getting it for free. And so, maybe I have a bit more positive energy towards this book than I would have otherwise. But it is a good book, and I recommend you guys find a way to get it. It's really, really enjoyable, even if it's purely for the artwork alone. But yeah, that's really all there is to say. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought. Have you read it? Have you not read it? Do you want to read it? Have you collected it or followed Joel Jones' career anywhere else? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.